Hi guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Tour YouTube channel. In today's video I've got another crochet tutorial from the BT21 series, and this time it's for Chimmy, so here he is. I think this might actually be my favourite character out of the entire line. So yeah, if you're interested in finding out how to make this, then keep watching. As always, the written instructions are available on my blog for free, and they'll be linked down below as well, so you can have that open at the same time as watching this video. So let's get into what you'll be needing for this tutorial. For this tutorial you'll be needing aran weight yarn in red, black, yellow and white, and I would strongly recommend that you try and use the same brand of yarn for the yellow and white colours at the very least, because we'll be crocheting a head that will sit inside a hood, and it may make the hood either too tight or too loose if you use different brands of yarn for those two colours. Then you'll be needing a 4mm crochet hook, or you could use something smaller or bigger if you're using a different weight of yarn other than aran. You'll be needing a yarn needle. This is for the embroidery and sewing all the bits together. You'll be needing a stitch marker. I'm just using a scrap piece of yarn for this. You'll obviously need some stuffing. You'll need more than this just to demonstrate. You'll be needing felt definitely in pink, and you may need felt in black depending on whether you have safety eyes, so and also a safety nose. So what I have here is 2 safety eyes that are 6mm, and then I believe this nose is also 6mm, and this is a safety nose, so as you can see it's kind of a triangle shape. But yeah, if you don't have these, then you will just need to cut those shapes out of black felt instead, so I just thought I'd include that too, because I know safety noses isn't necessarily something that people always have. You can get them on eBay for quite cheap though. Then you'll be needing some fabric glue. This is for gluing down the eyes, nose and the mouth. You'll be needing some scissors, and then you can use some pins if you want to help keep things in place when you're sewing everything down. So I think I've gone through everything you'll be needing there. So let's get into the tutorial. We're going to start by crocheting the head first. So if you grab your white yarn, for round 1 we're just going to do 6 single crochets in a magic circle. Then for round 2 we're going to increase all the way around. Okay, so at the end of round 2 you should have 12 single crochets all the way around. I'm going to talk you through the next few rounds because they're just standard increases in increments of 6, and then some rounds of single crocheting all the way around. So for round 3 you're going to do single crochet increase and repeat that 5 more times to get you to 18 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 4, 2 single crochet increase, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 5, 3 single crochet increase, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 6, 4 single crochet increase, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 36 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 7, 5 single crochet increase, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 42 single crochets at the end of the round. And then rounds 8 to 17 single crochet all the way around, so that's 10 rounds of single crochet all the way around. So I'll meet you at the end of round 17 as we're then going to start decreasing. I'm just about to start round 18 now, so for round 18 I'm going to do 5 single crochets to start with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a decrease. and I'm going to repeat that pattern 5 more times. That's going to get me down to 36 single crochets at the end of the round. Then for round 19, you're going to do 4 single crochet decrease, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 20, 3 single crochet decrease, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. And round 21, 2 single crochet decrease, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 18 single crochets at the end of the round. I'll meet you at the end of round 21 as we then need to stuff the head. So once you've got to the end of round 21, you should just stuff the head firmly. So you can see I've done that here. So we just have 2 more rounds left to go now. So for round 22, you're going to do single crochet decrease and repeat that 5 more times to get you to 12 single crochets at the end of the round. And then finally round 23, decrease all the way around. That'll get you down to 6 single crochets at the end of the round. I'll meet you at the end of round 23 and show you how to close up the hole. And then we'll be done with this part of the head. Then we'll just need to make the yellow hood that the head will sit in. I just got to the end of round 23, so now I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a very short tail, and then I'm just going to weave that yarn tail through the front loops of each of those 6 single crochets. If you give that a pull, that should close up the hole. Then you can just weave that yarn tail through some random stitch. Don't pull too tightly, and then you can just snip that. So that is the base of the head complete. So now let's move on to making the yellow hood. So I've got my yellow yarn here now ready for the hood. I'm going to mention this at the beginning of the video, but I would recommend that you try and use the same brand of yarn in the yellow colour and the white colour, because that's hopefully going to help the hood sit properly on the head. But if you don't have the same brand and you're finding that the hood is too loose or too tight, then I'm sure you can just add or remove a few rounds as necessary. But I am just going to talk you through most of the rounds until we start decreasing, because a lot of them are similar to what we did for the head anyway. So for rounds 1 to 7, it is exactly the same as what we did for the head, and I'll flash that up on screen and it'll be on the written pattern if you don't remember what we did. But basically we just need to get up to 42 single crochets at the end of round 7. Then for round 8, we're actually going to do 6 single crochet increase and repeat that 5 more times to get us up to 48 single crochets at the end of the round. Then for rounds 9 to 17, so that's 9 rounds in total, you're just going to single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 17, as I'm then going to place the head inside the hood before I continue on crocheting, because otherwise it's going to be difficult to fit it inside after that point. So yeah, I'll meet you at the end of round 17. So I'm at the end of round 17, and this is what the hood is looking like. So now I would recommend that you place the head inside. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to make it so that round 1 is at the top of the head and round 23 is at the bottom of the head, and I'm just going to pick whatever looks like the kind of neatest side of the head to be the front. So I think this looks neatest to me, and I'm just going to place it inside the hood like this. So it should hopefully sit quite snug, but not be too much of a squeeze to fit it in at this point. As I mentioned, you could make adjustments to the rounds of the hood if you're finding that it's not quite the right size, but I'm hoping that if you use the same brand of yarn for both these colours and you use the same tension when you're crocheting both of these parts, then hopefully this should work for you as well. So now we're going to start doing some decreases, and I'm going to do it, as I mentioned, with the head inside the hood, just so that I don't cause myself any issues later on. So we're going to start round 18, so we're just simply going to do 6 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a decrease. And we're going to repeat that pattern 5 more times. That'll get us down to 42 single crochets at the end of round 18. Then for round 19, you're going to do 5 single crochet decrease and repeat that 5 more times to get you to 36 single crochets at the end of the round. And then for round 19, 4 single crochet decrease, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. I'll meet you at the end of round 19. So now we're just going to do one final round. So for round 20, we're just going to slip stitch all around. It's just like this. So I'll meet you at the end of round 20. So I got to the end of the round, and hopefully those slip stitches have helped to kind of tighten up in round 20, and there should hopefully be no chance of the head moving about in there anymore. So just to finish off as neatly as possible, I'm probably just going to slip stitch, do one final slip stitch again. I know we already slip stitched into that stitch, but yeah, I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to cut my yarn. Don't worry about leaving a tail or anything, just enough so that you can kind of hide that inside of the hood. So I'll probably just get my yarn needle and just kind of And if you wanted to make it even neater, actually, I'm just thinking now, you could in fact do the fake single crochet method to finish off. So I will just show you how to do that now. This is completely optional and a bit you know, a bit pedantic really to be bothering doing this, because it didn't look too bad without it. But to do the fake single crochet method, just turn your work kind of upside down, skip the next slip stitch and pull your yarn tail through the slip stitch after that, and then go back and go into one of the front loops from that final slip stitch that we just did, and then pull your yarn tail through like that. It just looks a little bit neater if you finish off with that kind of fake single crochet there, but again, not necessary. And now I'm just gonna weave that yarn tail through. We'll be sewing the body on at the bottom, so I'll probably just leave it hanging there for a bit and then kind of hide it when we sew the body. So yeah, your head should look something like this now. So I think what I'll probably do next is just add the face details at this point, and then we can do the ears, and then we can move on to making the body and stuff. I'm going to start off by embroidering a line for the mouth, so I've got my black embroidery thread here. Okay, so that's the mouth. Now I'm going to cut out the felt pieces. So for the eyes and nose, I tried out both felt, so I did cut out 2 eyes and a nose with felt, which you could also choose to do. But then I also found that I had some 6mm safety eyes and a 6mm safety nose, and I tried placing those in instead, and I preferred how it looked with the safety eyes and nose, so I'm going to stick with those. But if you don't have them, then like I say, you can just cut these features out of felt and glue them down as well. Then for the tongue, I didn't really have anything else I could use other than felt, so I just cut out a little pink piece there that's going to be used for the tongue. So I'm going to glue that down, and then for the eyes and the nose, what I'll do is I'll just add a little bit of glue to the bottom and kind of the middle part of the eye, and then I'll just push that in, and that should hopefully keep everything in place. So yeah, I'll show you when I've done that. I glued everything down, and I just also added a little black line to the tongue as well, and I just did that by taking literally just one strand of my embroidery thread and just trying to use the tiniest dab of glue and just put that on the tongue as well. So now we've added the face details, the next thing we're going to move on to making is the ears, so grab your black yarn. So I've already gone ahead and made one of the ears, as you can see here. I'm just going to talk you through the rounds because again they're pretty similar to what we did for the head, to be honest. So for round 1 you're just going to do 6 single crochets in a magic circle. Round 2, increase all the way around. Round 3, single crochet, increase, and repeat that 5 more times to get you to 18 single crochets at the end of the round. Rounds 4 to 8, so 5 rounds in total, single crochet all the way around. Round 9, single crochet, decrease, and repeat that 5 more times to get you to 12 single crochets at the end of the round. Then rounds 10 to 13, so 4 rounds in total, single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 13 to show you how to slip stitch across to close the ear, and then we can sew the ears to the head. I got to the end of round 13 and now I'm just going to do 6 slip stitches across to close up the top of the ear. Okay, so that is the ear complete. So now we can just cut our yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. So if you come back once you have got 2 ears, then we can sew them to the head together. I've sewn down one of the ears, as you can see, so I'm just going to do the other one with you now. So I'm just going to use my yarn needle. And I'm going to try and line up this ear as well as I can to make it be even with the other side. So I think about there should be right. So now I'm going to be doing a running stitch rather than a whip stitch, so I'm going to be going into one of these yellow loops. Then I'm going to pick another yellow loop nearby and then go into one of the slip stitches, the black slip stitches, and pull quite tight. Then I'm going to go into a black slip stitch and a yellow loop. I'm just going to do that to the end. Okay, so before I move on, I'm just going to double check that that's still looking all right. And I think it does look okay, so I'm not going to unpick that. I'm just going to continue onwards. So you could just leave it like that, but the ear is quite flappy, as you can see. So what I did on the other side was I just sewed down a few extra stitches here, just because I want to keep it a little bit flappy, but I didn't want it to be so loose that you can literally go like that and see underneath it. So in order to do that, you just need to weave your yarn tail through to about here, just a few rounds, well, I guess these aren't rounds, but a few stitches down from where you are already sewing, and then you're just going to want to sew down a few of these stitches. Doesn't really matter what technique you use for this. I'm going to just do a whip stitch because it's easier. I'm just going to check how that looks. Yeah, that's doing what I want it to do, really. So I'm just going to do one more, I think, because I did 3 on the other side, I remember. So I'm just going to do one more. Maybe this stitch I'll get. I can't seem to get my needle into that one. Just do this. Yep, I think that's okay. I'm just going to leave it there then. So I'm going to weave that yarn tail through the ear like this, and then I will just snip that. Okay, so now we've got both our ears sewn on. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is just make the body, and that's worked by making the legs first, and then we'll join them together and that'll create the body. So let's do that now. So for the legs we're going to use the yellow yarn. We're going to start off by doing 6 single crochets in a magic circle. So nothing new here. So that's the end of round 1. Then for round 2 you're going to increase all the way around to get you up to 12 single crochets at the end of the round. Then for rounds 3 to 6 just single crochet all the way around, so I'll meet you at the end of round 6. I got to the end of round 6 and now I'm just going to cut my yarn. Don't worry about leaving a tail for sewing or anything like that, just leave a short tail just to make sure it doesn't unravel. But yeah, that's the end for the first leg, so we're just going to repeat all those rounds once more, but this time just leave your yarn on the hook, so I'll meet you when you've got your second leg. I've got my 2 legs now, so we're going to join the 2 legs together in the next round to create the body. So we're going to start off by doing 6 single crochets into the current leg that we have, and I'm just going to mark the first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to work 12 single crochets around the other leg, so it doesn't really matter where you attach your yarn into to start with. So I'm just going to pick this single crochet, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, then just going to do 12. So that's the last one in that leg. Then we're going to go back to the other leg and we're just going to do 6 single crochets in there. If you're not sure what the first single crochet that you should be going into is, then you can just count back 6 from your stitch marker. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's this one. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is the end of round 7. So as you can see, now both of our legs are joined together, and we have 24 single crochets all the way around. So there's just going to be a few more rounds now of single crocheting all the way around. So for rounds 8 to 16, which is 9 rounds in total, you're just going to single crochet all the way around, so I'll meet you at the end of round 16. So I got to the end of round 16, I've added some stuffing, and that's it. So now we just need to cut our yarn, leaving quite a long tail for sewing, because we're going to need to sew this to the head. And then I will show you the start of me whip stitching all the way around. So I'm not going to be using any pins for this, but you could if you wanted to. I've just placed this in a position that looks good from the front, and I'm just going to start whip stitching all the way around. So yeah, I'm just going to be doing that all the way around until I get back to where I started, so I'll meet you at that point. I finished whip stitching all the way around, so this is what it's looking like. So if your body feels particularly loose, you might want to whip stitch around once more, but for me, mine feels absolutely fine. It's not moving at all, so I'm just going to leave it there. So I'm just going to weave my yarn tail through to a random stitch at the back, and then I'll cut that. So now the next thing we're going to do is to make the arms, so grab your white and yellow yarn. So I've made one of the arms and this is what it looks like, so it's just quite a small simple piece. So to start off with, in your white colour you're just going to do 5 single crochets in a magic circle for round 1, then for round 2 increase all the way around to get you up to 10 single crochets at the end of the round, then rounds 3 and 4 single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you at the end of round 4 to show you how to do the colour change, and then we'll just finish off the arm. I'm just about to do the final single crochet of round 4 now, and obviously instead of pulling through in white we're going to be changing to yellow, so I'm just going to do that now. Okay, so now we have our yellow yarn and we can carry on crocheting in this colour. So for rounds 5 to 9, so 5 rounds in total, you're just going to be single crocheting all the way around, so I'll meet you at the end of round 9. So I got to the end of round 9 and I just added a light amount of stuffing, and now I'm going to just do 5 slip stitches across to close, similar to how we did for the ear. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm just going to cut my yarn, leaving a bit of a tail for sewing. So now I've got 2 arms, so once you've got your 2 arms, come back and I'll show you how to sew these to the body. I've sewn down one of the arms already, as you can see, so I'm just going to do the other one with you now. So as usual, I'm just going to try and line it up as best I can with the other side, and then I'm going to start whip stitching across. Okay, so now I'm going to have a look and see how that looks. I think that looks about even. So now I'm just going to sew down a couple of stitches on the front and the back of the arm as well, just to keep it a bit better in place. So I'm going to do 1, 2 at the front, and then I'm going to weave my yarn tail to the back and do a couple of stitches at the back. So 1, 2, okay, so now both the arms are sewn down. As you can see, you can just weave your yarn tail through to a random stitch at the back, and then you can just cut that. So now the final thing to do is we just need to add the little red kind of hoodie strings. So let's do that now. So I've just made one of the hoodie strings here, and this is what it's going to look like. Obviously it's not going to be as long as this, like the tail, but I just think it's better to leave a longer tail so that we can weave that through to the back and cut the yarn later on. So that's why I've made it so long like that. So this is really quick to make, so I'll just do it on camera with you now. We just need to do 3 single crochets in a magic circle to start with. then just close up the hole by pulling that tail, and then we just need to cut our yarn. Like I say, I'm going to leave a slightly longer tail than I probably need just to be on the safe side, and then what we're going to do is we're going to treat it as if we're closing up a hole, basically like when we have 6 single crochets left at the end of the head and we closed up that hole. We're just going to be closing up this hole here, so we're going to be weaving this yarn tail through each of those 3 single crochets and then pulling tight, and I am going to be going into both loops rather than just the front loop, which is what I would normally do, but I think it looks better in this instance if you go through both of the loops. So this is the 2nd single crochet, and then this is going to be the 3rd one that I'm going into now. And if you just pull as tightly as you can can't really pull too tight on this one, then it should start to bunch up into a little ball like that. Then just for some extra I don't know, secureness, I suppose, I'm just going to do a knot with these 2 yarn tails. Then this little yarn tail here, I'm going to get rid of that now, so I'm just going to weave that through to the bottom of the little like bobble on the hoodie, I guess you'd call it. If I can, yeah, if I can actually reach, I think I can just about get it in there. It's a bit tight, but... and again, you can pull that quite tight and that will help you again to sort of bunch up the little red ball that we have here. Then you can just cut that because you don't need that tail anymore, and if there's a little bit of tail remaining you can just push that in using the blunter end of your yarn needle. So now I have the 2 hoodie strings. I'm just going to be attaching those to the front of the body and then we are done. I'm going to just sew down this hoodie string now, so I'm just going to go into a stitch that's a few stitches away from the other one that I already did, and I'm just going to pull my yarn tail through like this, and then I'm going to remove the yarn needle so that I can do a knot, trying to keep the length of the hoodie string similar to what I have on the other side. So I'm just going to check that before I pull too tight. I think that should be okay. And then I'm just going to again use my yarn needle, and I'm just going to push that yarn tail through to the back. And I'm going to pull fairly tight to try and hide the knot if possible. There we go, so that's hidden now. And yeah, I'm happy with that, so I am just going to cut that tail. You could weave it for a few more times to make it a bit more secure, but because it's just me that's going to be displaying this toy, I'm not too worried about it falling apart, so I think that'll be okay. And now we have the 2 strings on the hoodie, so this is finished now. I'm just going to show you a better view of this, and that will be the end of the video. So this is what my finished shimmy looks like. I think it's really cute, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I hope you guys were able to follow this tutorial and that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!